Right now, 5 simultaneous weather emergencies are hammering 105 American cities all at once. And folks, nobody is ready for what this week is about to unleash across this country. We are talking baseball-sized hail threatening 15 million people tonight. A late-season blizzard shutting down I-90 and I-87 and red flag fire warnings with 55 miles per hour, winds ripping across the Intermountain West as we speak. Phoenix is already baking at 92 degrees Fahrenheit, while Fairbanks, Alaska sits at a bone-chilling 12 degrees Fahrenheit. That's an 82-degree temperature spread across this one country. And every single degree of that gap represents a different kind of danger tonight. Meteorologists are in disbelief. A 7-day nonstop severe weather marathon is now officially underway. And the Storm Prediction Center hasn't flagged a sustained multi-day threat pattern this serious in years. So let's get right into it, starting up in the Northeast, where a late-season blizzard is rolling through Buffalo, Albany, and Burlington like it's January all over again, dropping 6 to 10 inches of snow with 40 miles per hour wind gusts already howling. Buffalo is sitting at exactly 32 degrees Fahrenheit with full whiteout blizzard conditions. Portland, Maine is down to 35 degrees Fahrenheit, and visibility along I-90 and I-87 has dropped to flat-out dangerous levels for anyone behind the wheel out there tonight. This blizzard warning stays active straight through the overnight hours of March 30th, y'all. If you're anywhere near upstate New York or the mountain passes of New Hampshire, do yourself a solid and stay off those roads entirely tonight. Think about Carol, a retired school teacher in Burlington, Vermont. She woke up this morning to drifted snow blocking her back door and 40 miles per hour wind gusts rattling every window in her house. And the worst of it hasn't even hit yet. Now swing west, because that's where things get a whole different kind of scary. Red flag fire warnings are active across Wyoming, Idaho, Nebraska, and Utah, where humidity has already collapsed below 15%. Wind gusts along the I-80 corridor are hitting 55 miles per hour right now. And that combo bone-dry air plus gale force winds is the perfect recipe for a wildfire to explode out of nowhere and outrun anything in its path. Denver at 75 degrees Fahrenheit is under an active red flag warning. Salt Lake City hits 68 degrees Fahrenheit with humidity under 15%. And Cheyenne already has 55 miles per hour gusts that could take a single spark and turn it into a catastrophic firestorm within the hour. Boise, Reno, Albuquerque, all locked and loaded for catastrophic fire conditions tonight. And here's what hits different about this one. This red flag situation is not a one-day deal. It runs all the way through the end of the week. So, while the West is burning dry, stay with me here, because down in the lower Mississippi Valley, a third crisis is building fast as Gulf moisture pumps north and loads up a severe thunderstorm corridor from Texas clear to Milwaukee. Oklahoma City has an active tornado watch in effect right now. Memphis is sitting under a tornado watch tonight. And Shreveport, Louisiana is already dodging large hail absolutely capable of punching clean through windshields and rooftops. Flash flood emergencies are hitting Jackson, Mississippi, New Orleans, and Baton Rouge, simultaneously 3 cities where storm drains are overwhelmed and the streets are already turning into rivers well after dark tonight. And Milwaukee is getting hammered all at once. 40 miles per hour lakeshore gusts plus torrential rain that clash between warm Gulf air surging north and cold Arctic air digging south is what makes this particular setup way too dangerous to take lightly. Here's the kicker that the Storm Prediction Center is flagging for tomorrow. We're looking at an elevated tornado threat for eastern Michigan and potentially into Canada, which is flat out not something we normally say in late March. There's a 2% tornado risk corridor running from just south of Chicago all the way east to Albany. New York, if you're anywhere inside that zone tonight, get your tornado action plan together right now, not later. Baseball-sized hail is possible from Iowa, Illinois, and Wisconsin after 10 p.m. tonight. That's enough force to smash windshields, cave in rooftops, and total any vehicle left outside when these supercells start firing up after dark. Des Moines, Chicago, and Milwaukee are square in the crosshairs. Storm cells are expected to fire between 7 and 10 o'clock tonight, so if your car is still outside right now, get it under cover before 7 p.m. No excuses. Meanwhile, Phoenix is hitting 92 degrees Fahrenheit today. That's record-breaking heat for late March, and 30 to 40 miles per hour gusts are kicking up massive dust walls that are stopping highway traffic dead in its tracks along I-8 and I-10 right now. Tucson at 89 degrees Fahrenheit is baking right alongside Phoenix with near zero visibility and blowing dust. And this extreme heat tops out today before a cooler air mass finally pushes in from the west starting Tuesday morning. Thank goodness. Up in the Pacific Northwest, the fifth emergency is already unfolding. Arctic air is pinning the snow level down to just 1,500 feet, and the Cascades are set to pick up more than 6 inches on the mountain passes overnight. Seattle at 52 degrees Fahrenheit has mountain pass snow warnings cutting off key Cascade crossings. Spokane drops to 48 degrees Fahrenheit with freezing slush coating the roads. And this same storm system is going to push right into Wyoming and Colorado by tomorrow morning. All right, let's walk through y'all's hometowns starting across the south, where Dallas at 85 degrees Fahrenheit is watching for supercell development tonight. And Houston at 82 degrees Fahrenheit is bracing for flash flood risk from Gulf-fed storm bands that are already organizing. San Antonio at 88 degrees Fahrenheit has severe storm gusts already snapping tree limbs. Fort Worth at 84 degrees Fahrenheit is tracking supercell potential with large hail possible. And El Paso at a scorching 94 degrees Fahrenheit is sitting under an active red flag warning for rapid fire spread. Now here's a number that ought to wake you up. Oklahoma City at 80 degrees Fahrenheit has an active tornado watch plus 50 miles per hour. Wind gusts ripping through the metro right now, and Tulsa at 78 degrees Fahrenheit is right there with it under a tornado watch of its own. Atlanta at 74 degrees Fahrenheit is watching dark storm lines roll in off the southwest. Nashville at 74 degrees Fahrenheit has storm bands that could knock out power to tens of thousands of homes tonight. And Charlotte at 68 degrees Fahrenheit is tracking heavy rain and flash flooding heading its way. Down along the coast, Charleston, South Carolina at 72 degrees Fahrenheit has gale force onshore winds pounding the shoreline. Key West at 85 degrees Fahrenheit is warning small boaters to stay in port. And Miami at 86 degrees Fahrenheit has life-threatening rip currents pulling swimmers offshore right now. Birmingham, Alabama at 76 degrees Fahrenheit is tracking severe thunderstorms tonight. Mobile at 80 degrees Fahrenheit has storms firing rapidly in hot, humid air. And Little Rock, Arkansas at 75 degrees Fahrenheit is in the bullseye for rotating supercell activity all the way through midnight. Over in the Midwest, Chicago at 58 degrees Fahrenheit has a flash flood watch in effect for Cook County tonight. Columbus at 60 degrees Fahrenheit has damaging wind gusts sweeping through. And Indianapolis at 62 degrees Fahrenheit is under an active, severe thunderstorm watch right now. And Detroit, y'all need to hear this, a squall line arrives tomorrow evening packing 70 miles per hour winds, enough to snap large trees, rip roof decking clean off homes, and knock out power lines across dozens of city blocks all at once. Now, before we keep going, think about Frank, a retired wheat farmer outside Wichita, Kansas. He's been reading that prairie sky every spring for 40 years. And he says the way the air smells today tells him something bad is coming Wednesday night. Frank's not wrong. Dew points in the low to mid-60s across the southern plains. Wednesday afternoon create conditions favorable for all hazards of severe weather, and both the European and American models are in solid agreement on this threat. So here's what Wednesday looks like. A storm system drops over Colorado and heads east into Kansas and Oklahoma, firing supercells after about 6 p.m. that could produce 2 to 3 inch hail in folks. That is baseball sized, straight down from the sky. A 2 to 3 inch hailstone doesn't just dent your car, it shatters windshields, punches through skylights, strips shingles clean off roofs, and will put someone in the hospital if they get caught outside when one of these supercells rolls through. Missouri, Arkansas, and Texas, y'all need to be watching Wednesday night for damaging winds as these storm clusters organize after dark and push east. The overnight hours could be the most dangerous window of the entire Wednesday event. Thursday keeps the threat alive from Milwaukee all the way down to Houston. Any storms that fire Thursday are going to have plenty of energy for large hail, damaging winds, and isolated tornadoes across the entire Midwest and Ozarks corridor. Kansas City at 70 degrees Fahrenheit and St. Louis at 72 degrees Fahrenheit are both in the Thursday threat zone, and St. Louis specifically is sitting in overlapping danger areas for hail from the north and damaging winds from the south, which is a rough combination for any city to deal with. Now, here's why you absolutely cannot click away right now, because Friday is the day that is keeping meteorologists up at night. And what's building for the I-35 corridor on Friday is way too serious to miss. A well-organized low-pressure system is expected to develop in Kansas and Oklahoma by midday Friday, and this setup has every single ingredient needed for a major severe weather outbreak that could affect millions of people at the same time. Discrete supercells, the most dangerous storm mode there is, are expected to fire along and east of I-35 Friday afternoon, which puts Kansas City, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and Dallas all under simultaneous significant tornado, large hail, and damaging wind threats. And here's the kicker: dew point surge into the mid to upper 60s on Friday, which makes this setup considerably more dangerous than Wednesdays the higher those dew points go. The more explosive energy is available for tornadoes to form and intensify. Folks, if you live anywhere near the I-35 corridor from Kansas City to Dallas, Friday is not the day to be complacent about this. Have your shelter ready. Keep a weather radio within arm's reach, and keep your eyes on every single update all day long. 3 days of advance notice for a major tornado outbreak is actually a big deal. Modern forecasting science gives communities this kind of lead time so that you can make smart decisions before the first funnel cloud ever forms. So use every hour of it wisely. And then Saturday, good grief, the Storm Prediction Center says if trends continue, a massive squall line could stretch from Wisconsin all the way down to Waco, Texas, and possibly San Angelo by Saturday morning, impacting the entire central spine of this country. That line tracks east through Saturday afternoon and brings scattered to numerous damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes to anywhere from Milwaukee to Houston. Simultaneously, we are talking tens of millions of people under active threat on a single Saturday afternoon. From today straight through April 5th, there is not one single day without a significant severe weather threat somewhere in this country 7 days in a row. Different cities, different hazards, and the atmosphere is locked and loaded for every last one of them. Now let's talk about something that doesn't get nearly enough attention. Winter is flat out not done yet. And both the European model and the American GFS agree that 1 to 2 feet of total snowfall is possible across the northern plains and upper Midwest before mid-April. 1 to 2 feet of snow in April, that ain't nothing. Folks, Fargo at 38 degrees Fahrenheit already has light snow falling tonight. Bismarck at 40 degrees Fahrenheit is sitting raw and overcast. And Sioux Falls at 52 degrees Fahrenheit has dangerous wind gusts scattering debris across roadways as we speak. And don't pack those snow shovels away just yet. The models are showing wintry weather persisting for the Great Lakes well past the middle of April, which means the folks up in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan aren't anywhere close to being out of the woods. Here's a number that puts this whole week into perspective. Upwards of 40 record-breaking high temperatures are going to be shattered today and tomorrow across Kansas, Wisconsin, Michigan, and the broader Midwest. And record warmth in late March is one of the primary fuels for historic tornado outbreaks. 40 broken records in 48 hours tells you the atmosphere is carrying way more energy than it normally does at this time of year. And that energy doesn't just sit there quietly. It releases violently the moment cold air finally crashes into all that warmth. That's the dual nature of these spring systems that most folks miss while Oklahoma and Arkansas are dealing with tornadoes. Minnesota and Wisconsin are simultaneously getting buried in feet of snow from the very same storm system hundreds of miles to the north. No other time of year throws this kind of 1-2 punch tornado alley, and the snow belt getting hammered back to back with no recovery time in between. And both the storm chasers and the snowplow drivers are working overtime this week. Now let's swing back to the April 2nd setup, because when two independent global models line up on the same threat this far out, the meteorology community takes notice, and both models are showing a deep low over Illinois dragging a cold front southward on April 2nd. That setup puts Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Kentucky all in the severe weather zone simultaneously. That's 9 states. Roughly 65 million Americans who need to be following this between now and April 2nd. Now, here's something else that hits different about this April pattern. Total rainfall east of the plains over the next 2 weeks is going to run 2 to 4 inches. Which is close to double the average monthly precipitation for all of April in most cities. Double a full month's worth of rain in just 2 weeks means rivers, creeks, and drainage systems get overwhelmed long before April is even halfway done, and flooded roads don't look flooded until you're already in them, which is exactly how people get into trouble. Straight talk, flash flooding kills more Americans every single year than tornadoes do. And every single one of those deaths involves someone who drove into water that looked passable. So when you see a flooded road tonight, turn around. Don't drown. Full stop. Let's check on the West Coast real quick. Los Angeles at 82 degrees Fahrenheit is dangerously dry with extreme fire weather lurking. Sacramento at 75 degrees Fahrenheit faces critical fire risk. And San Jose at 72 degrees Fahrenheit has humidity bottoming out to trigger fire weather watches across the entire Bay Area. Hawaii is not getting a pass either. Honolulu at 80 degrees Fahrenheit has flash flooding hitting low-lying neighborhoods tonight from a lingering Pacific storm. And Hilo at 76 degrees Fahrenheit is tracking potential landslide risk as saturated hillsides become dangerously unstable from relentless rainfall. And Alaska is a whole different world tonight. Anchorage at 28 degrees Fahrenheit has heavy snowfall building on already icy roads. And Fairbanks at 12 degrees Fahrenheit has breath-freezing cold with dense fog coating every surface, while the lower 48 simultaneously deals with all 5 of these crises at once. Now here's the part I really need you to sit with. Meet Dorothy, a retired factory worker in Springfield, Missouri, who has been through plenty of severe weather seasons and told her neighbors this morning to get their storm kits together, because this week feels different. Dorothy is right to trust that gut-feeling record warmth. Extreme Gulf moisture and powerful jet stream dynamics this week create exactly what forecasters historically associate with the most significant tornado outbreaks of the entire spring season. So, here's what you need to do right now, and I mean right now. Not after the video, check the National Weather Service page for your county. Identify the nearest reinforced interior storm shelter in your home or workplace, and know your county's warning system. A watch means conditions are favorable for severe weather to develop. That's your signal to get prepared and stay sharp. A warning means severe weather has been confirmed and is headed right toward you. That is your signal to stop everything and take shelter immediately. The worst mistake you can make in a tornado warning situation is waiting until you can see it by the time a tornado is visible. You may have less than 60 seconds to reach shelter. And spending any of those seconds standing there watching it could cost you everything. Friday's I-35 corridor threat has meteorologists paying serious attention more than 3 days out. That level of advance warning exists so communities can prepare. So please charge your devices. Fill your gas tank, and make sure every person in your household knows exactly where to go. The waterspout threat over Lake Erie tomorrow afternoon deserves a special mention, a supercell that tracks onshore near Cleveland or Erie. Pennsylvania becomes a land-based tornado with essentially zero warning time for people directly in its path, and that is a real possibility tomorrow. Cleveland at 56 degrees Fahrenheit and Pittsburgh at 48 degrees Fahrenheit are both in Tuesday's threat zone. And a fast-moving squall line pushing 70 miles per hour winds through both cities simultaneously would produce the kind of widespread wind damage that takes weeks and weeks to clean up. All hazards means exactly what it sounds like: tornadoes. Large hail, damaging straight-line winds, lightning-caused fires, flash flooding, and waterspouts. Every single tool in the severe weather toolbox is available to the storms firing tonight and all the way through this weekend. Now, here's the good news. The historic heat wave baking the desert Southwest is finally starting to let up, and Phoenix temperatures will cool back toward seasonal norms starting Tuesday as a cooler air mass pushes in from the west. By mid to late week, The extreme record-breaking warmth that has been fueling this wild pattern starts to ease across most of the country. That's genuinely good news for folks in Kansas through Wisconsin who have been dealing with March temperatures that felt more like May. Think of the pattern ahead like a weather seesaw, warm and stormy for a couple days. Cold and quiet for 2 or 3. Then warm and stormy again. That rhythm is what folks east of the Rockies are locked into for the next 2 full weeks. And every time a big storm system rolls through and moves east, a cold front drags right behind it. So after each severe weather event this week, cold air rushes in and gives folks a short breather before the whole cycle cranks right back up again. Lincoln. Nebraska at 66 degrees Fahrenheit has wind gusts already hitting 55 miles per hour tonight. And Wichita at 78 degrees Fahrenheit is a pressure cooker of hot, dry, gusty conditions in that environment. One downed power line or one careless campfire spark can grow to thousands of acres of wildfire within a single hour. Over in the southeast, St. Louis at 72 degrees. Fahrenheit sits in overlapping threat zones tonight, close enough to the northern hail belt for large hailstones, close enough to the southern storm corridor for damaging wind gusts, and carrying enough instability for brief tornadoes to spin up well after dark. Des Moines at 68 degrees Fahrenheit is tracking supercell development that could push northeast tonight. And anybody south and east of Des Moines needs to have a weather alert app running right now because these cells are moving fast and strengthening rapidly as they track across Iowa. Real talk for a second. Flash flooding is the one severe weather hazard that catches people off guard more than any other, partly because flooded roads look deceptively passable and partly because it happens fast. At night, when visibility is already compromised by heavy rain, just 12 inches of fast-moving floodwater is enough to sweep most small vehicles completely off the road. 2 feet of moving water will carry away a full-size SUV and no shortcut. No errand, no destination is ever worth taking that chance. Ever. Tulsa at 78 degrees Fahrenheit has an active tornado watch right now. The entire Arkansas River Valley corridor is in the bullseye for rotating supercell activity through midnight. And Memphis at 76 degrees Fahrenheit is sitting under a tornado watch with flash flood risk piling up on top of the tornado threat. Folks, share this forecast with someone you care about tonight. Text your parents in Oklahoma. Call your brother in Kansas City because the people who get caught off guard this week are simply the ones who never got a heads up. The overall pattern after this week trends toward more typical spring conditions and less extreme temperature swings, but make no mistake. Severe weather season is not winding down. It is just getting warmed up for what April and May traditionally bring to this country. The I-35 corridor from Kansas City to Dallas has seen more violent tornadoes than any other stretch of highway in America, and that corridor is directly in Friday's crosshairs, which is exactly why forecasters are raising the alarm more than 3 days ahead of time. Wednesday brings 2 to 3 inch hail to Kansas and Oklahoma. Friday delivers the most dangerous supercell outbreak of the week along I-35. Saturday puts tens of millions from Wisconsin to Texas under a single massive squall line. Nobody is ready for all of this back to back. From March 30th all the way through April 5th. Not one single day passes without a significant severe weather threat somewhere in this country. 7 days straight. Different cities. Different hazards, all of them real, all of them serious, all of them happening this week. We started this forecast with 5 simultaneous emergencies slamming 105 cities, a 7-day severe weather marathon already underway, and meteorologists in disbelief at a pattern this sustained and this dangerous for late March heading into early April. So, stay sharp out there. Take every watch and warning seriously. And check back in with us tomorrow as we track Friday's outbreak threat coming into sharper focus because 5 emergencies, 105 cities, and 7 straight days of severe weather means this is just getting started.